Leading Figures of the Renaissance, Part 2. Albrecht Durer, German artist. Albrecht Durer, 1471 to 1528, was born in the German city of Nuremberg. He earned fame for his paintings, drawings, prints, and writings on art. Personality and training. As a boy, Durer received a varied education. The son of a goldsmith, he learned his father's trade. At 15, he began training with a well-known painter and printmaker. A printmaker uses printing to make copies of works of art. He also studied math, Latin, and classical literature. As a young man, Durer traveled through Germany, Italy, and the Netherlands. He became friends with many humanist artists, writers, and thinkers. He studied classical sculpture for years to learn ideal human proportions. He wanted to be able to show the parts of the human body correctly sized in relation to each other. Durer's self-portraits show him to be a fashionable, confident man. He had an intellectual approach to life and art. He asked himself, what is beauty? His art was an attempt to answer that question. Talents and achievements. In his painting, Durer blended the detailed style of Germany with the perspective and idealized beauty that he learned from Italian painting. He encouraged artists to study measurement and geometry as the keys to understanding Renaissance and classical art. Durer was especially skilled at making engravings and woodcuts. These are prints made from an original that is specially prepared for printing. The original may be etched or engraved in metal, or it may be cut into a block of wood. Then it is inked to make copies. In Renaissance times, printers used engravings and woodcuts to illustrate books. Much of Durer's art shows religious figures. He also painted subjects from myths and did a series of self-portraits. Like other artists of his time, he did many portraits of royalty and wealthy patrons. He worked for years as a court artist for Holy Roman Emperor Maximilian I. Durer's work is widely admired, particularly his beautiful engravings and woodcuts. These works set a new standard in printing because of their clarity, expressiveness, and fine detail. Durer also wrote influential books about human proportions in art. Many modern artists still read these writings. Nicholas Copernicus, Polish scientist. Nicholas Copernicus, 1473 to 1543, was born in Turin, Poland. He is often called the father of modern astronomy. Personality and training. When Copernicus was 10 years old, his father died. His uncle, a Catholic bishop, became his guardian. He made sure that Copernicus received a good education. As a young man, Copernicus attended Poland's University of Krakow. Then he went to Italy to study medicine and church law. In Italy, he rented rooms at an astronomy teacher's house. Soon he became fascinated by astronomy. Copernicus's scientific work would show that he was highly creative. He was also a free thinker, unafraid to question accepted beliefs. Talents and achievements. Copernicus was skilled in mathematics and observation. He based his thinking on what he truly saw rather than on what he thought he should see. Like others of his day, Copernicus had been taught that Earth was at the center of the universe. According to this idea, the sun, stars, and planets traveled around the Earth. As Copernicus studied the motion of the planets, he became dissatisfied with this explanation. He proposed a revolutionary idea. People, he said, had it backward. In reality, Earth and the other planets revolve or travel around the sun. Earth rotates or turns on its axis. This turning is what makes the sun and other objects in the heavens seem to move across the sky. In 1514, Copernicus printed a booklet that outlined this theory. Then he began years of work on a full-length book. He called it On the Revolutions of the Celestial Spheres. Celestial means heavenly. According to legend, he saw his book in print just a few hours before his death in 1543. Copernicus dedicated his book to the Pope. However, the idea of Earth traveling around the sun went against the Church's belief that God had placed humans at the center of the universe. In 1616, the Church forbade people to read Copernicus's book. Despite the Church's disapproval, Copernicus's theory had a major influence on a few key scientists. Eventually, it was proved to be correct. Today, the Copernican theory is part of the basis of modern astronomy. Andreas Vesalius, Belgian scientist. Andreas Vesalius, 1514 to 1564, was born in Brussels, in what is now Belgium. He became an outstanding scientist. His work changed medicine and the study of anatomy. Personality and training. Vesalius came from a family of doctors and pharmacists. Pharmacists are people who prepare medicines. He was also interested in living things, and especially in anatomy. As a young boy, he studied stray dogs and cats. Vesalius attended universities in Belgium, France, and Italy. In 1537, he earned his medical degree, specializing in anatomy. Later, he became a personal doctor for Italian and Spanish royalty. Vesalius was hardworking, curious, and confident. He was also said to be gloomy and distant at times. Talents and achievements. Vesalius was a talented observer and an independent thinker. He also had the artistic skill to draw his observations. In Vesalius's day, physicians' understanding of human anatomy was based on the works of the ancient Greek physician Galen. Vesalius studied Galen, but he soon broke with his tradition. Like Copernicus, he was determined to observe things for himself. Vesalius began dissecting, or cutting open, dead human bodies. His research showed that Galen's work had relied on studies of animals. As a result, it had many errors when applied to humans. Vesalius made many discoveries about the human body. For example, he showed that the human heart has 4 hollow areas called chambers. His discoveries led him to write his own 7-volume textbook of anatomy. Vesalius called his book on the structure of the human body. It explained the construction of the body and how the body functions. The book contained prints by artists that were based on Vesalius's drawings of the body. Vesalius's book was a major breakthrough. It changed what people knew about human anatomy and how they studied it. It also changed physicians' understanding of medicine. Today, his book is seen as the world's first modern medical textbook.